What if aging wasn't inevitable? What if the passage of time didn't leave its mark on our bodies? If wrinkles never formed? If energy never faded? If death wasn't something we had to accept? For centuries, humanity has searched for the secret to eternal youth. From the alchemists of ancient China to Ponce de Leon's fabled fountain of youth, the dream of defying time has persisted. Deep within the cells of every living being lies a silent clock, ticking away toward an inevitable end. The strands of our DNA, once pristine and unbroken, accumulate damage over time. Our cells slow, lose their ability to repair, and eventually fail. In laboratories around the world, researchers are making astonishing breakthroughs. They've extended the lifespan of mice by reversing cellular aging. They've discovered animals, like the jellyfish Turritopsis dohrnii, that seem to possess biological immortality. Some scientists now argue that aging itself is a disease, one that might be curable. But if we could truly stop aging, what would that mean for us? Would we become a society of eternally young individuals, free from the burdens of time? Or would we face consequences we have yet to imagine? Before we explore the future, we must first understand the present. Why do we age at all? And is it something we're destined to accept, or something we were meant to overcome? Aging feels inevitable. We see it in the mirror, in the slowing of our movements, in the faces of those we love. But beneath the surface, at the microscopic level, aging is something else entirely. A battle fought within our cells, a slow unraveling of the biological mechanisms that once kept us young. The question is, can that battle be won? At the heart of aging lies a silent decay. Each time our cells divide, tiny structures at the ends of our DNA, called telomeres, shorten like a candle burning down. When they become too short, the cell can no longer function properly. Some enter a state of senescence, refusing to die but no longer contributing to the body's repair. Others break down entirely, leaving behind traces of damage that accumulate over time. This we call aging, but nature has exceptions. The immortal jellyfish, Turritopsis dohrnii, does something remarkable. It resets its cells, reversing its age, returning to a youthful state. Some animals, like the Greenland shark, live for centuries. Their aging process is slowed almost to a standstill. If nature has already found ways to cheat time, can we do the same? Scientists believe the answer may lie in reprogramming our own cells. In 2006, Dr. Shinya Yamanaka discovered a set of genes that could turn adult cells back into their embryonic state, capable of renewal, no longer burdened by the damage of time. Since then, researchers have been able to partially reverse aging in lab animals, restoring function to old tissues, repairing damaged organs. Some even believe that with enough refinement, this technique could one day be applied to humans. But if we unlock the secret to halting aging, what happens next? Would this be a medical revolution, a cure for one of life's greatest afflictions? Or would it open the door to a future where the balance of life itself is disrupted? The science is advancing. The possibilities are closer than we think. But before we step into a world where aging is no longer inevitable, we must ask, if we could stop the clock, should we? For centuries, we've treated aging as an unavoidable part of life. But what if it isn't? What if it's just another problem? One that science is finally learning how to solve? At Harvard, scientists have used a technique called partial cellular reprogramming to restore vision in old mice, turning aged eye cells back into their youthful state. In another study, drugs called senolytics were used to eliminate aged, malfunctioning cells, rejuvenating tissues and extending lifespan. And this is only the beginning. Across the world, biotech companies backed by billionaires are racing to bring these technologies to humans. Jeff Bezos has invested in Altos Labs, a secretive company dedicated to cellular rejuvenation. Google's Calico is working to decode the secrets of longevity. Even Elon Musk's Neuralink hints at a future where humans could merge with machines to overcome biological limits. We are no longer just imagining a future without aging. We are actively trying to build it. But as the science accelerates, so do the questions. If we could live indefinitely, who would have access to such a life? Would these treatments be a luxury for the wealthy, creating an even deeper divide between the privileged and the rest of society? And if death is no longer a certainty, would life itself lose its meaning? Some argue that the ability to extend life is the greatest achievement humanity could reach, a chance to free ourselves from the constraints of biology, to explore, to learn, to evolve. Others warn that tampering with the natural order could bring unintended consequences, ones we may not be prepared to face. The technology is advancing faster than we ever imagined. What was once science fiction is now becoming science fact. But before we step into an era where aging is no longer inevitable, we must confront a much deeper question. Imagine a world where aging is no longer a certainty, where the body no longer deteriorates with time, where every disease linked to old age, Alzheimer's, heart failure, cancer, becomes a thing of the past. A world where death is no longer inevitable, but a choice. It sounds like a utopia, but would it be? If aging could be stopped, what happens to the natural cycle of life? Would birth rates plummet as people choose to live indefinitely? Would the world become overcrowded, societies stagnant, innovation slowing as the old never make way for the new? Some argue that a world without aging could mean the end of progress itself. After all, doesn't change often come from the young? And what about identity? If we lived for centuries, would we still be the same person? Would our minds, shaped by decades of experience, eventually struggle under the weight of time? Psychological studies suggest that human identity is deeply tied to the awareness of mortality. Would an endless life make us less human? Even if we solve aging, death might still exist, accidents, violence, unforeseen disasters. Would those who live indefinitely become more cautious, more risk-averse, unwilling to take chances? If life is limitless, does it lose its urgency? But there's another perspective. Some believe eliminating aging could usher in the greatest era of human potential, an age where knowledge isn't lost with each generation, where wisdom accumulates, where society is no longer bound by biological decay, a future where humans, unshackled from time, reach for the stars, expanding beyond Earth, exploring the universe without the limits of a human lifespan. The questions grow more complex, and the stakes higher. If science is on the verge of ending aging, we are not just altering biology, we are redefining what it means to be human. But in a world where we can live forever, would we still want to? For the first time in history, humanity stands at the edge of a fundamental transformation. Not just an era of extended life, but one where aging itself may become obsolete. If we choose this path, we are not just rewriting biology, we are reshaping civilization. The consequences would be profound. Relationships would change. Marriage, friendships, family bonds, traditionally shaped by the finite nature of life, could stretch across centuries. The very fabric of human connection, built on the understanding that time is fleeting, could be rewritten. Would love endure across endless decades, or would it fracture under the weight of eternity? The economy, too, would be transformed. Today, careers are measured in decades. But what happens when experience never fades? Would the young struggle to find their place in a world where the old never step aside? Or would society evolve, adapting to a world where humans are no longer constrained by the ticking clock? Even the way we perceive time itself might shift. With no urgency, no finality. Would ambition fade? Would innovation stagnate? Or would limitless life bring an age of boundless creativity and discovery? If humanity no longer lived in the shadow of death, what new goals would drive us forward? But there is another possibility, one where we don't conquer aging entirely, but learn to control it. A future where we decide when to slow time, when to pause, when to let go. Perhaps the answer is not in escaping death, but in mastering life itself. The future of aging is no longer just a question of science. It is a question of choice, a question of ethics, of philosophy, of what it truly means to be human. And so we are left with one final question. If given the chance to live forever, this video has come to an end, but the discovery continues. Check out more content on the channel and subscribe so you don't miss what's next. Thank you for watching.